Hey guys, Adrian here, and as you can see, this is not a vlog. I decided to shoot a different video, and I'm going to be using my iPhone for notes here. This video was originally being planned to be shot outside, a little in different lighting, all that outdoor setting. Much to my dismay, because I didn't turn on the mic, so this is what you get. Anyways, I recently watched a movie called There Will Be Blood. And in the movie, the main character, Daniel, played by Daniel Day-Lewis, says a quote, and I think with all quotes, they resonate with you. Some do, some don't. But something stuck out to me that he said in the movie that went along the lines of, "There are times when I look at people and I see nothing worth liking. I want to earn enough money that I can get away from everyone." And as maybe morbid and kind of crude as that sounds, it was something I could relate to. Not that I hate society as a whole or anything. It's just that growing up I was really introverted, and that's definitely something that also played a role in my job, obviously, as I work from home. But while I can be very social and outgoing, I prefer that solitude, that isolation. And definitely one of the reasons, I think, if I look at it now, the reasons I work is for that privacy. If there's one thing that money can buy, it's that privacy. It's that disconnect from everyone else. I wanted to work in the first place, and I wanted to be successful early on because I didn't want to see these struggles that people are going to go through 18, going on to their 20s, and through their 20s of college and finding a job and bills and rent and debt and all these things. I didn't want those to be a problem for me. Much like anybody doesn't want those to be a problem. So I started early. I got a head start, and I sacrificed a lot of time. People always ask me, why do you work so much? Why do you do blah, 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 this and that and the other? Because I know when I'm in their situation, or when I'm, in that same age as they are, that same time frame, I won't have to worry about much. And that disconnect that I wanted to get away from everyone. As harsh as that sounds. And that got me thinking about a bigger topic, and maybe a little bit more philosophical one, but the fact that I think in this world, we are alone together in this world. And that's something I tweeted. And I know it sounds kind of weird, so bear with me as I kind of dive into it here. But I think, we're dropped in this world, we're brought into this world alone. And ultimately, we die alone. We die by ourselves, and it's not always on our own accord. And for the most part, it's not always on our own accord. And for the most part, we don't have much of a say when we come into this world or when we, leave it. But we all know one path we do share is that of death. And of course, I think, there's these things, of course, and you can call them illusions, and if anything, I think if anything in this world that makes me feel most, at whole, at peace, is that of family, obviously, and not everybody has that privilege. Of course, my family is the thing that makes you feel whole at most in this world. And for some people that's faith, some people that's a whole bunch of other things. But I think, and not to say that these aren't important things, but I think, Orson Welles said it the best, the director. There's a quote where he said also that, we're born alone, we live alone, and we die alone. Only through our love and our friendship can we create the illusion for that moment that we're not alone. And of course, I love my family, and, there's a small circle of friends that I hold near and dear. But ultimately, I think in life, there are moments, and as people do, they pass on, people come and go. We're alone, and we create these little illusions in life to forget that, to make it oblivious to us that we are alone in this life. And me, I'm not personally a man of, I don't believe in religion. I don't have this idea of a hell, a heaven, nor a hell. I don't have this idea of an afterlife. I do what's good for good sake. I do what's good based on morals, not, this book or this set of laws to live life. But I think, one of the big problems with religion to me growing up is that idea of, when somebody would pass away, somebody would always say, oh, you're going to be with them again, and, when you go, wherever your ideal heaven is. But to me, in the physical sense, that never, that's so hard to conceive, that you're so young and somebody passes away, that you have to wait X number of years and you have to pass on until you finally see them again. They're physically not here. We're still alone in that physical sense when somebody close to us passes on. And, even more, furthermore, people used to tell me, oh, you're so blessed with everything that you've achieved and you've accomplished in life. And that came off kind of as an insult to me. As to say, nobody was holding my hand, no, figure, no, whatever was holding my hand throughout what I've done and what I've accomplished. It took hard work, it took time, most importantly, it took sacrifice. That's something I did. That was on me. Again, not to be selfish in that fact, just, not to say faith is this bad thing. I think we need some, people in general need faith for this motivation in life. But, I think most importantly, people believe because of the fact that they're afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of what comes next and what comes after, and this, that, and the other, and they tell themselves these things to forget that. Much like this illusion of we're not alone in this world, To me, I really think it is. And in looking back further, I think, I just graduated from high school. I just graduated from school. I'm not attending college. I'll be working, running my business, going that whole route. And looking back at school, in a sense, you tend to miss it a little bit after you graduate, I think. Just for the fact that you're surrounded by friends and all these people that are in your peer group, all of that, etc. And you see it a lot during summer. People that you're really close with and you consider close friends in school, you don't so much see them after summer, during summer when they're going off to college. Just because, things change. And school is that setting where you're naturally used to seeing them. And when you're there, you'd normally hang out with them for all intents and purposes. But high school to me is a perfect scenario to represent that situation of being alone together. Never have I been in a situation where, you're so crowded by people, surrounded by people, yet you feel so kind of isolated, and maybe in your own world for that matter. I remember in high school, especially my senior year, all I wanted to do was be out of there. All I wanted to do was be doing something that mattered to me, working, etc., learning the things I wanted to learn. And not to say I didn't care about my friends or people around me, just I didn't, I kind of wanted to be doing my own thing. And I think in a way, there's a lot of people like that. And in high school that you'll see that you can be alone, but together with these people that you would call your friends, etc. And in a society that's predicated nowadays on social networks, you have your Twitters, your Instagram, your Vines, all of these things. It raises the question, are we more together nowadays or are we more alone? You have people who share things for sharing's sake, but at the same time you have people who share things and the whole notion of sharing things on the internet is because you want to be noticed, is because, you're putting it out there to the public. Nobody who shares something doesn't completely not care what others think. I mean, if you didn't care what other people think, you wouldn't be sharing it in the first place. So, there's something to be said, again, for that solitude, for that capturing moment, just letting the moment play through, and rather than taking your phone out to Instagram it or Vine it or whatever. And, I'm guilty of this. I think a lot of us are. To say that we are alone in this world, in a way, sounds depressing. I know that can come off as depressing. But at the same time, it can come off, and it came off to me as comforting. It's something of a realization I had. Growing up, not all of us realize this, but most hopefully do, that we're not the center of the universe. Furthermore, in the grander scheme of things, I think humans, it's interesting if you think about it, they say that if bees were to be extinct for years, the human race would die out because bees pollinate our flowers, which provide oxygen, so on and so forth. Yet if we die as a human race, not too much changes in society. Nature takes its natural course, and everything kind of goes on, lives on, dies, etc. We don't affect much. But in that, you tend to realize in life that sometimes all you have is yourself. And that's ultimately all you have complete control over. You don't have control over anybody else but yourself. And I think looking at it from that perspective, looking at it from that silver lining, all you have to blame is yourself for these things that come and go in life. And not to put all the weight on you, but to say that you are your own biggest obstacle in life. And that's really hard to see, I think, especially when people growing up, that's something they don't realize, I think. So do something that makes your life, in a sense, worth it. And that fact that all you have is yourself and we are alone, realize that it's your future, it's your education, it's your time. So many people do things based on what others want them to do, parents, etc. I'm not saying undermine that. I'm saying that it's your future in the end. You know, you're the one who's going to have to do the work and do this, that, and the other, so make it worth it. You know, before I die, I have a whole bunch of goals in life that I want to achieve. Before 20, I wanted to, hit $1 million. I still have a long way to go, both time-wise and financially. I still got 2 years. I'm going to do a lot in 2 years. I want to be respected as a person, not just based on my financial achievements, etc., but based on my personality in life and my viewpoint. Younger, I thought growing up was more of a thing based on age. And then you tend to realize that's not so much. It's not something that just comes with age, that whole growing up thing. It's more of responsibility. And as you grow older, I think you realize only that time seems to matter more. Where you allocate your time essentially shows your priorities in life. To me, even though, I can live with that fact that we're alone in this world, and sometimes all we have is ourselves. And that life is going to try and sugarcoat this whole bunch of things to make you forget that. But I try to keep that in mind. But at the same time, pushing for humanity, pushing for the fact that everything I do in this life, I'm fluid. Once I pass on, that's it for me. But I want to leave something behind in terms of legacy. I want to leave something behind that affects others, that helps others through the work I do and all of that. Something that goes way beyond me. So yeah, I think we are alone in this world. But at least we're alone together.